Battle Line podcast, and many of you are wondering why this episode is up late. If you're on social media and you follow us on our socials, then you have some idea of what's going on. And I'll try to give you the Cliff's Notes version because I've been sitting on this episode with Drew Jacobs for a week now. I mean, it's been we recorded a week ago. It was supposed to go up on Tuesday. I'm now recording this Thursday morning just so that we can get up the episode, even if it's audio only. Because, well, for those of you who don't know, I book guests on this show. I prep the shows. I'm an audio editor, host, of course, and all that production stuff, but I don't do the video editing, and I don't have much experience in video editing. So we've always had someone else edit the videos, whether it was D or we had Rob or Zach for a really short period of time. But Harold has really been top-notch guy. And we were hit with some really, really unfortunate news on Saturday night when I sent him the last show that he'd been jumped, and he sent me pictures, and they were really brutal, and he was in the hospital recovering. So I said, it may be a delay on when I get this episode over to you. And I was, of course, like, take your time, man. This is way more important than Battle Line Podcast. Unfortunately, I really have not heard anything for days from him. I don't really know what's going on. I don't really have communication with Harold outside of emails. And unfortunately, I don't know if this is connected or not, but like Q4 of 2024, it was really hard communicating with Harold. So I really didn't know what was going on. And I don't know what's going on with this situation. And hopefully it's not the worst. But the fact that there's been times where I go days without hearing from Harold, unfortunately. This isn't like entirely out of the ordinary, and I really wish I knew what was going on because Harold is a tremendous video editor. I'm sure you guys who watch the shows on YouTube know that. I know the majority of you listen, but we really stepped up our game in the past year and a half or so that he's been on board editing video. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on. I didn't want to keep you guys waiting. I did put up a post, and some of you made some really generous donations to help in Harold's recovery. The unfortunate thing is I don't know what's going on. I haven't heard anything. I don't have any update at all. I've even tried calling the hospital. I haven't been successful in that because it's outside the country. I can tell you this. Anyone who did donate, I haven't sent over your donations, and I will absolutely give that money back if there's no way of me getting that money to Harold. So I'm going to wait another week or so. And if you did send me money, that is either going to go to Harold if we make contact and figure out what the heck is going on, or it'll just go back to you. But first and foremost is his health and recovery, but it's also just put a roadblock in the show because I have no one edit video right now. I've been in touch with Rob, who was previously editing videos, and maybe he'll step up and do these until we figure out what's going on. He said he'd be up for it. But for right now, I just didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. It's just not fair to the audience. It's definitely not fair to our sponsors. And speaking of which, Bubs Naturals is one of our great sponsors who's been with us for years. A lot of you are checking out our show for the first time because of the Sean Ryan show. Some of you, really even younger listeners, were learning about Benghazi for the first time from Chris. And so now you, of course, know the name Glenn Bub Doherty. And Bub is the namesake for Bubs Naturals, which is a great supplement company. They have everything from MCT oil powder to the apple cider vinegar gummies with the mother, hydrate or die. They're excellent hydration package, which aren't filled with sugar and all that other crap that you're getting in a lot of stuff. So very healthy for you. But their flagship product is really their collagen protein because it's grass-fed, single-sourced collagen protein. And they give back to the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation with every purchase, which helps out the families of veterans, special operations veterans in particular. Check them out, bubsnaturals.com. Promo code BattleLine for 20% off your first purchase. Bubsnaturals.com. Use the promo code BattleLine for 20% off your first purchase. Unfortunately, yeah, I have a lot of great content from this episode I wanted to excerpt. A lot of great video clips and shorts, but I'm just going to put this up in its entirety for you guys to listen to, and hopefully we're back on track with all that stuff next week. But if you're listening, then you are one of these people who enjoys listening to the full show, and we appreciate that. So without further ado, Drew Jacobs.
From Kansas City to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Switch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battle Line Podcast.
The Switch is on, Battle Line Podcast. Really honored to have a guy on that really my introduction was from the God Bless the USA rock version, Drew Jacobs. And God Bless the USA, the rock version, of course, is a recreation with Lee Greenwood of the original God Bless the USA. For those who don't know, we did previously have Lee Greenwood on an episode 267. Great guy. And you already know this. It's like, despite his age, it is crazy how, like, you meet people who are in their 80s and you go, this guy seems like a feeble 80-year-old guy. He is not that at all.
No, he is not. First off, thanks for having me on here, dude.
Oh, of course.
I appreciate it, seriously. And I absolutely loved that episode because you guys actually got more things. I asked him a lot of questions when we were together because we were together for, a few hours. But a lot of that was him tracking the song. I only had a little bit of time to actually ask him some questions, and you guys got some pretty cool stories out of him that I didn't know. I had no idea about some of the stories that he was saying, but he's with it, man. Let me tell you, that guy. And, you guys got to see it, a little bit of it, but, there was this door at the studio that's a really heavy door. And, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to grab the door for him or something because this is it is a heavy door. Like it was, I'm in my 20s and it was heavy. And so but he walks right up to it and opens. I'm like, this guy's got, because I knew that he had like some, I don't know if it was like a hip replacement. He had some pretty big surgeries and things replaced.
He mentioned that to us. He actually,
he's like better than ever.
Yeah, it's like mentally, physically, all of that. It gives me hope for when I'm that age that I'll still be able to do what I love.
Yeah, it's crazy, but he doesn't stop. That's the thing, and from anybody that I've heard that is of or around that age, it's don't stop, always keep going, keep your mind fresh. If you don't use it, you lose it kind of thing. And I think he's a living testament to that.
Yeah, I mentioned it on the episode with him, and it's not like to slam other people in the music industry, but I know you're familiar with what I'm talking about with what you do. Like you've probably seen those clips go viral of Frankie Valli, where he's still out there, I guess you would say performing, but it's like he's holding a microphone with a track playing. I know they would deny that, but it's like that's blatantly what's going on. And, people are just like, is someone forcing him to go up here? This is really strange. And I know he's older than Lee, but there's just he may as well be 20 years older than Lee. Because
for sure.
Lee is still out there performing like to the best of his ability, which is as good as ever.
Yeah, 100%. And I know exactly what you're talking about with Frankie Valli. And when I watch things like that, I'm like, who's making you do this?
Yeah.
Is it, but maybe he wants to do it. I don't know. What else does he got to do? But you see the comments on there and people are like, oh man, it's sad. But no, Lee is he's with it. He's smart. I was like, you would think he was, when I found out when I was there in the studio with him, he was 81 at that time and he was going to turn 82 the next month. And when I found that out, I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Like he's so on it, and he's a really great guy, man. Like I hear all the time, and I tell people, don't meet your heroes because they're bound to let you down. No, Lee was phenomenal. He was super kind, and to kind of trust us with and I by us I mean my producers and I with his song, which is his creation and his baby essentially that he has grown through 4 decades, and it's just him trusting us with that was when I talk about it, I get like kind of overwhelmed by it because it's a lot. It feels like a lot of weight, but it's so much trust, which is great. I'm glad it paid off.
Yeah, and which is true, by the way, because there's thousands of songs that went number one on Billboard or that were huge, but within 2 years, who sang that song? It's
Yeah,
forgettable, even if it
yeah,
had major success. Like there's very few songs out there that last decades and decades. And so getting into everything, I will say, just like how when we had Leon, it's very apparent for those who don't know, he's way more than just that one song. That may be what the majority of people know him for. His career spans way beyond that. And for you, that was my introduction to you. But truthfully, I don't know your full story.
sure.
So I think it would be cool to get into your origin story growing up and then how you got involved in the music business.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because I feel like Lee and I are at complete opposite, parts of our life here. Like he's done it, he's doing it, uh, I feel like I'm just getting started here. I've been doing this for over or about 10 years now, over 10 years, I guess, because I started when I was 16. It to be 12 years because I turned 28 last month. But yeah, I mean, I started playing guitar in high school because I thought it would be an easy A, and I'd be like, oh, the chicks dig somebody that can play guitar, and so I all that was true. That happened. That worked out. So that did work out, and but I actually fell in love with songwriting, and I didn't know that I wanted to songwrite until guitar class because our guitar class would work is you would get your work done and the teacher would sign your slip and you could go do whatever you want as long as you got your work done and you were learning the parts that you needed to learn. And so I would get it done super fast, and then I'd have like 30 more minutes of to just do whatever I want and play whatever I want. And me and my buddies, we would go out in the hallway and we would write songs all the time. And I don't talk to those guys anymore. They've all like moved out of state and stuff. But
And where did you grow up again?
I live in Port Huron, Michigan.
Okay, so that's where you grew up and everything.
Yep, grew up, and yeah, I don't live in Tennessee. If my family's here, and so I don't really want to leave that. I like it here. I like it. We live right by Lake Huron. We're on the Great Lakes here. It's
Yeah, no,
beautiful.
I get it, man. It's funny.
Yeah,
I've always spoken, and Chris knows like about moving to South Florida or something because I love it there.
yeah,
But like this past week, I went to LA just for a bunch of concerts and comedy shows because I'm into all that stuff, just like
yeah,
you are with the rock stuff. But whenever I'm it was just a solo trip for like a week. And whenever I'm away that long, it's just like here on Long Island is family. And as much as like the
yeah.
weather kind of sucks here and it's similar there,
Oh yeah,
all that stuff kind of takes a back seat to like having the people that you grew up with. And I mean, for me, I'm 10 years older than you, and I still have a number of friends that I hang out with to this day that I know
yeah.
from elementary school. And it's like,
Right.
leave that behind. That's pretty heavy. So
Yeah, it's tough. I've never been the kind of person that was like, "Oh, I'm going to ditch this town and get rid of it." And, all my peers or my friends would say that, and I'm like, I don't really see what you guys are seeing. This place is great. It's beautiful. We got the blue water. We got freighters, big freighters going by. We got sailboats. So I started racing on sailboats this year, and like we got some of the most beautiful golf courses around too. And I mean, granted, you can only use them for a few months out of the year,
yeah, yeah,
but
that's like here too.
yeah, but they're beautiful,
Yeah,
So
and it's also it's a different world because so I went to the LA and I'm a huge fan of like all the 80s rock stuff, the hair metal stuff. And if
yeah,
you know, like all of that started on the Sunset Strip,
yep,
the Whiskey a Go-Go. So like as someone who those are the books I read, like that's the music I listen to. I was like, because I've been there once before, but it was during COVID. It kind of sucked. I was like, I gotta go out there, catch some shows. As a comedy fan, I gotta go to the Comedy Store. And like all those bands, Motley Crue, Van Halen, there's so many of them, like Rat. They all had to move to LA in order to get a record deal to become one of those bands on the Strip and get discovered by a record label.
Yeah.
And they had to flyer up the town and get people to go to their shows and get people to sell out venues like the Troubadour and the Roxy. And it's a completely different world now in the digital age. Like, if you have the talent, it doesn't matter where you live. I mean, at some point, yeah, you're going to have to leave your town and go tour the world. But if you want that to be your home base and you want to record there, you could do it all from, middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and we are a perfect example of that, because my studio is at my producer's house in his basement, and it is in Smiths Creek, Michigan, which is nothing but like farmland all around. And we just did a rock version, a brand new version of "God Bless USA" with Lee Greenwood. I'm not in that. Like I said, I'm not in Nashville. I'm not in that local scene in Nashville where everybody knows everybody. I'm out here sending emails to people and praying to God that they'll say yes. And that's what Lee Greenwood. We made it, and I was like, I said, why don't we try to get Lee Greenwood on this thing? And everybody was like, dude, that's not going to happen. I go, you don't know. Like, let's just ask.
Yeah.
And Kurt, his manager, who is amazing, he absolutely fell in love with it, and sent it to Lee, and he was on board. And next thing you know, I sent him an email on like a Thursday or a Friday. And they go, can you be here Tuesday? So like, we needed to book our plane tickets. We needed to book a studio and book our hotels and everything. But, we got our green light. And then just a few days later, we were flying down to Nashville to record with them.
And by the way, I do think that's cool that you flew to Nashville and did it in person, because we're talking about like the digital age.
Yeah.
There's so many songs now where the two people never meet each other. It's just, I'm going to send you this file, and then you send me a file back, and we'll have an engineer mix the two together. Like, as much as, I like doing an interview like this with you on Zoom, it's not the same as the in-studio experience of shaking your hand. And I actually am glad that he wanted you to fly out there, because I think it probably benefited the track.
Oh, it benefited the video too, to actually see, because that was one of the things too. I go, I don't just want to like have him film something and send it over and we splice it in with our stuff. I said, I want us on screen together at the same time. I go, that's going to hit a lot harder. And go, oh shoot, like they actually did this together, and we got great behind the scenes footage of us in the studio working on it. And the fact that I was able to, sit on the couch next to his wife Kim and his manager Kurt, and just look through the glass and listen to Lee sing the song. I mean, even standing right next to him, like it still blows my mind, dude. It blows my mind.
Yeah, because he's a legend.
yeah. He's a living legend, and that song is something that is a song that I used to sing on my karaoke machine that I had in my room. My brother and I, we would put on these little concerts for our parents, and like he would play we had a toy guitar, and he would like play the toy guitar, and I would sing the song, and we would do "God Bless the USA." That was one of those songs. And I also I had a CD, and I think it was like, now that's what I call patriotism or patriotic. You know what I mean?
I didn't even know, because I know, of course, I thought you'd say, now that's what I call music, because we all remember those. But
And so I had that CD, and it had like "Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue" on it, and it had "God Bless the USA" on it. And so I had these little Lego minifigures and all these sets, and I made a music video, like a stop motion music video with "God Bless the USA" going on in the background. And then, I had to have been like 8 or 9 or something, doing that. And then, 20 years later, doing the song with them. It's wild.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's a song that transcends like everything. When I go to the air show every year here on Long Island, that they have on Memorial Day, it's like you'll see people Lee's age singing the words. You'll see little kids, black kids, white kids, like everybody knows the song. Everyone knows the words. So as I was saying, that was my introduction to you. But what little I knew was that actually the moment I launched this Zoom, I see all the billboards behind you, or the Billboard Awards. And I'm like, oh, is that for "God Bless the USA"? And I truly did not know your history before then. Like, I knew you were making music, but not on the major scale that you are. So yeah, I would love to hear how you got to the point of like just making music as a local artist, developing your craft, to actually doing something that's, nationally recognized or internationally.
Sure. So I met my producers when I was about 16 or 17 years old. I was going to college at our local community college. I was flunking out of my history class, which is crazy because I absolutely love history. Um, but I just think I wasn't in it anymore. And so, I go up to my professor and I go, listen, what can I do to pass this class? And I go, if I get straight A's on everything, will I pass this class? And she goes, no. And I go, oh, okay. I mean, we were pretty close to the end. And I basically was, and it was like, I was like, am I going to drop out or am I going to stick this out? And so I dropped out and I just dropped out of college completely. I was 4 credits shy of graduation. And I was like, you know what? I am going to put all of my eggs in this basket. I was like, this is what I love. This is what I'm going to do. Linked out with my producers. And we started off making an EP. And that EP actually took 2 years to make just because he was working with a band called I Prevail. And they're pretty.
I've heard of them.
They're big now. They're big. So Brian, the lead singer, he's from my hometown. And
are they like metalcore?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're like they did like kind of like the Pop Goes Punk stuff.
Okay, yeah, I know the name.
They got big off a Taylor Swift cover, Blank Space, and that kind of so that was his main focus at the time. And then another band called Ava Under Fire, and so. I just kind of went in there whenever I could. Whenever he's like, yeah, I got free time. Like, come on in. And so we ended up doing this EP. And then the EP led to a full length album. That album went #1 on iTunes, which, maybe not as significant today, but it was pretty significant back in 2017.
Dude, I still use iTunes. I do. Yeah. I hate the whole streaming thing.
Yeah, I
literally just bought an album on iTunes today, but I know I'm in the minority.
Yeah, what album was it?
The new Redman. Nice. So I listen to everything. Yeah, Redman, Muddy Waters 2, which was like highly anticipated for him if you're a rap fan. But yeah, dude, I mean, I actually, truthfully, if he put it out, physical copy, I would have bought it. I still buy physical copies of everything. Yeah. But he only put it out digitally, and I don't subscribe to any streaming. And like, truthfully, look, if you're going to stream a Taylor Swift song, who gives a fuck? She's basically a billionaire at this point. Yeah. But for like other artists, people don't think like I want to support these artists. Like I always say, go out to a concert, buy a t-shirt, buy a physical product or digital product, because I mean, if you love that stuff, that's how they eat.
Yeah. Oh, it's 100%. I mean, when you listen to a song and it's like, a half for a quarter of a penny, I mean, it takes a long time for that to add up, man. And that's why they call it starving artists for a reason, I mean, it doesn't pay quick, unfortunately. And you need to have like a hit. You got to like catch lightning in a bottle. And, everybody thinks but you got to be able to market it too. And so, we've been blessed and fortunate to, get to this point. So, long story short, I'll bring it back to what we're talking about. Sorry, I'll try to answer your question.
It's all good. Yeah, of all those plaques. Yeah. Well, as you heard us speak about right there, it is true that music artists, even podcasters, are having to find more creative ways to earn revenue for what they do. Someone like Drew Jacobs, I mean, you only earn really small amount of money for the plays that you get on Spotify and for streams on YouTube and that type of thing. And yeah, artists just have to be more creative in finding revenue streams, because unfortunately there aren't enough people still buying physical product, which I always insist. If you love a band, you love a musician, I don't think Drew really has physical product. For those who do, go out and buy physical product. It really helps those guys. Go out and see them when they're on tour, or even buy a meet and greet and that type of thing. But in terms of our podcast, we're in the same boat, because it really isn't YouTube and Spotify that keeps us going and that is the main source of revenue for us. It's our great sponsors that have kept this podcast chugging along. And the sponsor that's with us every single episode is none other than Fort Scott Munitions. They're the best ammo out there, guys. FSM is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition. It's designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with every pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states. Just go to FSM.com. You can check out the dealer locator, but you get the best deal through us when you go to the website, FSM.com, and use the promo code BattleLine for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the Battleline podcast. FSM.com, promo code BattleLine for 15% off. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline podcast. We also have the best night vision sponsor out there. Now you can have the superpower to see in the dark with the Viper Binocular Night Vision System by Photonis Defense, the global leader in night vision solutions, providing more high-quality night vision capabilities than anyone. Military, law enforcement, and public safety end users utilize Photonis Defense solutions to give them the edge at night in tactical situations and rescue operations. Hunters, shooters, boaters, and enthusiasts can rely on the Photonis Defense Viper Binocular to become masters of darkness, their trademark. The new Viper Binocular system carries the same features and benefits as the Photonis Defense Viper Monocular with a ruggedized body and harnesses the power of the Echo Intensifier tubes, giving you sharper images, reduced halo, and industry-leading ultra-fast auto-gating across the range of dynamic operating conditions. This is all just a very fancy way to say they have the most kick-ass night vision out there, and you want to check them out, and that's at photonisdefense.com. PHOTONIS defense.com, or look for Photonis Defense product options from your night vision dealer. As always, all this information is in the description, so if you're driving around listening to us, whenever you park and you want to learn more, just hit that description and you'll be able to see the links to all of the great sponsors that keep us going. And with that, let's get back to Drew Jacobs.
So we ended up starting our own independent record label, and we started signing artists and bands underneath it, and it's called Noise Machine Records. And we have the band State of Mind. We had No Resolve. Their contract was just ended, so I think that, or is going to be coming up, so I think they're probably going to go a different direction. And then we have an artist called Kayla King, and then myself as well. And so
you said one of the plaques behind you is for like an album you engineered, right? Like not one that you're...
Yeah, so this is actually, on the label, a lot of times what I will do is I will be the executive producer of the music videos. So I'll handle the budgets, the actors, the story, the shot list, locations, all that stuff. That way the artists, they show up and they just shoot, they just film. And that makes their life a lot easier. And it leaves less opportunity for things to go wrong because I've done it so much. I mean, I've filmed, it has to be almost like 100 music videos at this point. You know, you got to have backups for the backup. Like, something always goes wrong. So you got to have somebody who has a level head and can solve this problem fast, or just call somebody up right away, And we've been really blessed with the place I live. I have a very supportive community who will open up their homes, or even, like the city building. They let me up there to film, which is crazy. I mean, this thing is tall, man. Like, it is a huge building right on the water. And so I reached out to the city, the mayor and the city manager, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. So, and for a local musician to, be able to ask your community for help and they're willing to give it is, it's pretty remarkable. It's not, you don't get that everywhere.
So when did the film stuff come in? Because I mean, that's a whole nother craft you have to learn. And so on top of becoming a musician and all that and building a label, I mean, to be able to make videos on that scale is very hard, I know.
Yeah. So it's always been a dream of mine. When you're a kid, how you want to go, you go through all these careers of things you're going to be. Mine was in kindergarten, I wanted to be a rock star. Yeah, I have it written on a paper where it's like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And it's a rock star, which is funny because I don't ever remember saying like wanting to be a rock star or a musician. But and then I do remember wanting to be a director. I had the camcorder. Making the Lego music videos. I was making, these little short films with the neighbor, all the neighbor kids. We all got together and we would make like, just whatever kind of skits and movies. So it was always there. And then when that opportunity presented itself to, be the producer on these videos, I jumped at it. And I linked up with my good buddy Travis Ross at Ripjaw Media, and he filmed a lot of our videos. He actually is the one that filmed God Bless the USA in collaboration with another guy we work with called Drake. Well, his name is Drake Welton, and his company is called White Knuckle Films. So it kind of just the opportunity presented itself through the label, because we would. It kind of helped us like, have more control and how quickly we can make these things happen, and if things go wrong, sometimes when you work with bands, they just are like, oh, well, whatever, we don't have to fix this, or like, it's fine. It looks good. It's like, no, this doesn't look good. We need to find a light. We need a light this good, or we got to do this. And like, hey, that guitar doesn't really fit, or your outfit, like, why are you wearing shorts right now and flip-flops? You should be wearing jeans. So like, just things like that where like, if you want to be a rock star, you have to look like a rock star. You have to do the thing, and music videos are a huge part of that. So
oh yeah, absolutely. And also, just as like someone who's a nerd for this stuff, as I said, I always am reading like rock biographies, and it's like I'm currently reading Alex Van Halen's autobiography.
Oh, nice.
And it's good, man. And he talks about how like the original cover for Van Halen, the first album, just he's like, it totally didn't fit the image we were going for.
Yeah.
And he was like, you could find it online if you look up Van Halen EP cover, because he's like, it still circulates. And I did. And and if you compare that to what the actual album cover came, like, you look at that and you go, okay, this is a way better introduction to people with the band. And at the time, that's how people discovered bands. They just look at the album cover. This looks cool. I'll pick it up. And
yeah, it's like a book.
Or if you read about when Bon Jovi put out Slippery When Wet, you go look online and the original album cover, like, it's not a good album cover. And they're like, we're not going to put this out. So attention to detail and all that is really important.
Yeah, and the album covers matter. The cover art matters for everything. You want to make yourself look good. Take that extra time to make things look good, and ask other people around you, how does this look? Does this match up with the pros? Does it look better than what the pros are doing? All the music videos that we do are local. We do it right here in Michigan. We don't fly any cinematographers in. We don't use anybody, from LA or anything like that. We're not flying these companies in. It's all of our friends. It's all of our friends that we know and we've met, and they're super talented. And we do, and like all the actors, everybody. It's like it's all people within my hometown and my community. So
that's awesome, man. And then I even just noticed as you're like leaning over, the YouTube plaques behind you, which I'm waiting to get, because we're just at 6,000. It's going to take time to like grow that subscriber base. But I mean, that's awesome too. So
yeah, we got State of Mind, No Resolve, and then myself it's for the YouTubes. But so
that's for what, like 100,000 or 1 million plays of the video, or of subscribers?
100,000 subscribers. You get the silver play button.
For which channels though?
State of Mind, No Resolve, and Drew Jacobs. Myself.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Yep. So that's why all of them hit it. Well, all of them. We all hit it, and I was like, "Well, I'm getting a plaque for every single one." I've worked on all their stuff.
Like, of course, I said to you before we recorded, I'm like, "That's my only plaque over there is engineering when I was with Bill Bradley." But like, I'm trying to grow that for sure. It's it's cool to have all that up. So, what were you saying? Sorry.
You're good. It's really sweet though, because it was like, I've always wanted a YouTube button, and I was like, I had the opportunity to get 3, and I was like, again,
hell yeah. No, it's awesome, man. And be proud of it. When you were saying, like, as a kid growing up, wanted to be a rock star, wanted to be a cinematographer or director. So in both of those aspects, like, who are your biggest influences? Who did you look up to and want to be like?
My grandfather was a huge influence. I know you're probably talking well
Yeah, but
known.
whoever it means to you, yeah.
But yeah, no, my grandfather and my uncle Terry both they both would play the guitar and sing all the time. And my uncle Terry still does, but my grandfather, he unfortunately can't play the guitar anymore. Man, I don't even know if he can sing anymore.
Hmm.
But in terms of more well-known names, it sounds cheesy, but this kind of songwriting is kind of where I started. I was doing more country stuff than I was doing like the country rock stuff, but I was also like, as a teenager, and I was listening to what was ever on the radio or what was cool and whatever the chicks liked.
Yeah,
And I would listen to like Luke Bryan or Cole Swindell and George Strait, which George Strait's still one of my favorites today. I don't really listen to
sure.
Luke Bryan or Cole anymore. But that songwriting, I was like, and I know this is gonna come off the wrong way, but I was like, I could write that. I
Sure.
could totally write that song. I said it can't be that hard to write a song like that. I was like, they're using the same four chords over and over again, and it's just catchy ear candy melodies. It's like I can totally do that. And so that's what I started doing, was doing that, and I'm really happy that the rock stuff worked out because I was kind of getting sick of pop country. But thankfully, pop country is kind of making its way out the door, and we're getting outlaw stuff back in, which I think I'll dive into that.
Yeah, but and by the way, when you say like, oh, I could make that, I think that's true with all the greats. Like a lot of them, they make what they do seem easy.
Yeah,
I could even say with what I do with broadcasting, how many people listen to Howard Stern and go, oh, he's just like fucking around on the radio. I could do that. And it's like,
yeah,
no, there's a lot
yeah,
that goes into it.
yeah.
Whether you're a fan of his or not, like anyone who's great at their craft.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, you think you're good at something until you get in that, you're like, it's easy. And then you get up there and you try to do it and you choke. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, there's a lot more to this, especially mentally. But the songwriting is something that always is came, uh, easy to me, as well as having the eye for certain shots. Now, I'm not technically savvy with, a lot of production or things like that. But when it comes to story, what the shot should look like, lighting, that stuff I'm really good with. But you're not going to really catch me in there editing a full-on music video anytime soon. I think we could find enough people to do that for me instead, because I used to do it like with some videos. Like I've edited some music videos and I was like, dude, this takes way too long. It's like I can't. I'm like I gotta move and be all. I'm like all over the place a lot of times, but.
But I think that taps into like we all have our own God-given gifts.
Yeah,
And I think
100%.
some people really tap into that and explore it, and some people just don't utilize it. But
Yeah,
when you say that there's certain things that you're just blessed to be able to do,
yeah,
it's not like an ego thing. I think we all have that. But
agreed.
some people spend a lot more time like mastering their God-given gifts and mastering their craft.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that kind of goes into when somebody says, well, what's your backup plan? You're a musician. You're going to do that. Like nobody ever makes it as a musician. And, and I'm like, I wasn't really good at anything else. And this came super easy to me and I have fun doing it. And I was like, I really think I can do it well. So, and I'm not the best singer in the world. I've never claimed to be. I mean, there's, I can find probably tons of people in my hometown that can sing better than I can, who are at karaoke at the big karaoke bar downtown. But what I did focus on was marketing. I have to get my song, my videos on as many computers or phones as possible. So I would sit there for hours and I would just send people. Like I would add everybody on Facebook. Like I'm one of those guys that has 5,000 friends on Facebook and absolutely ruined my account because I'm like, well, now I have too many friends and I don't know any of them. But I sent them all my music back in the day. I was like, hey, like this is my first thing. Like, could you buy it? And so then that's why, like my first album got to #1 on iTunes because I just made sure that it was on as many phones as possible. And you just have to sit down and do it. And it was a lot of early mornings and late nights doing that. And I was the girl I was dating at the time. Sometimes I would post a video and it would start popping off, and she'd be in my house, and I was like, baby, you gotta go. I was like, I'm gonna be sitting at this computer all night now and just responding to all the comments, like every single comment. And I try to do that today, but I'm married now and I like to spend time with my wife.
Yeah, you have to have some balance in your life, but it
Yeah.
sounds like that's how you got to the point that you are now
Yeah.
by kind of slaving away and just doing what you had to do. Oh, so you know what else I wanted to ask you when you said, who you were listening to as a musician. So then as like a film, in film, directing, cinematography, all that, who did you look up to in terms of that?
Oh, I loved. I mean, I love anything Christopher Nolan, which is probably a cheesy answer. And then, but Quentin Tarantino, I liked his stuff. I mean, I'm a huge action movie fan. I'm also a comedy. I like everything. I love film. Like I love cinema. I sat down on my couch. I watched 4 movies last night. I don't go to bed till 2 in the morning because I just kept watching movies. And it's honestly, I've been in kind of like a I've been digging the Star Trek stuff that they got going on, the shows and the movies with Chris Pine. Like I like watch that and I was like, this looks better than some of the stuff they're putting out today. Because everything's just so quick now and they're trying to turn around all these movies and like take your time and make it look good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, these movies today, you'll watch some like Marvel movie and you're like, that looks worse. Like I could grab you 2008's Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and Davy Jones's CGI still looks better than most of the stuff that we see today.
I'm worried that it's going to get a lot worse, man, with AI. Because
Oh yeah,
I work for another company called Nidus, and we talk about what's going on in tech and cybersecurity and all that stuff. And we do have a huge focus on AI. If you check out the YouTube channel, and like my boss there, he's not saying he's for it or against it. This is more
yeah,
just what he sees coming down the line. Is that you're going to go on something like Netflix, and you're just going to be able to like give me a movie that has
yeah.
a
Make your
character
own.
like Batman and he's saving the world from intergalactic species, and you could just type in what you want the movie to be and it'll be created at your fingertips. And the truth is, people are going to love watching that, the fact that
Yeah,
they could just create their own movie by speaking a prompt. And
yeah,
I kind of think that's the future, and I
yeah,
don't like it, but I mean, you know how it is with social media. Everyone is, as they say, like Airfingers quote, the main character. And I
yeah,
think this like self-obsession. And instead of like really admiring a piece of artwork that someone slaved away years and years to write something fucking amazing, it's going to
yeah,
be more like, I just want this thing that I created in my head and go make a movie of it. And
yeah, yeah.
I think people are going to gravitate towards that. I'm not saying I
Yeah.
like it, but
I think you're right. I didn't even think about them making full length movies and stuff like
but look
that.
how quickly it's evolved. I mean, it can't be that far off.
It can't be that far off. I mean, how far it's come in a year. They're finally making faces that look like real, and they have all their 5 fingers now.
Yeah.
They don't have 8 fingers on them anymore. I'm like, holy crap, this thing's learning and it's
Yeah.
evolving. There's scam accounts out there that they will use AI to be me. Somebody sent it to me. It was an audio clip, and I was listening to it, and I was like, did I send that to him? I was like, I wouldn't have sent that to him. I said, it had me questioning it for a second until the person on there goes, uh, oh no, I would never send that. Like, I would never send an audio clip where I'm like, like they clearly had a foreign accent, and it turned their voice into my voice. And then somebody also did it with a video. It was a video that I recorded in Nashville. It's just a selfie video, and posted it online. And somebody took that and it like you changed my mouth
Yep.
and my eyes and everything to say their name, and it was crazy. It was nuts, man. It's dangerous, and it needs to get figured out fast because a lot of people are going to get scammed,
Oh yeah.
and a lot of people I feel like are just going to get taken to court or something. I don't know, because it's like I don't need somebody coming after me because they think I scammed them. They're like, "Well, I have this video." I'm like, "No, you don't. That's not me."
Yeah,
Like,
then you're going to have like the greatest experts to be able to decipher what's real and what's not. And that's going to get harder and harder
yeah,
as it gets more realistic. And you may have even seen it since you're very active on YouTube. Like, I've just been browsing stuff on YouTube and they don't even detect that some of the ads are total scams using AI.
yeah,
So, yeah, I'm very into Bitcoin and all that. And something will pop up with like Michael Saylor and it'll look like it's him talking. And he's like, just because of how great Bitcoin is getting to 100,000, we're going to airdrop this, you know, point 0.1 Bitcoin to you if you scan this QR code.
Oh my
And then
God.
have you seen that, or have you even seen stuff with Donald Trump where it'll be like, because you're such a patriot, we want to
Yeah.
send you this, just scan this QR code, and it looks like Donald Trump
Oh
saying
my
it. And
gosh.
I don't know how those get away with being ads on YouTube, because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, they censor pornography and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They censor us if we say something about guns that they don't like.
Oh
Like, how
yeah.
is that stuff getting through when it's, you know,
Yeah.
blatant scams if people would just review it?
Yeah. And it's completely illegal.
Yeah.
It's completely illegal. I mean, it's wild. I mean, the thing is they have to have the technology to realize when something is a scam and when something is not. I mean, the fact that I go on Facebook all the time and I'll get a notification that says your comment has been removed. I'm like, for what? And I look at it and it's nothing bad. I'm like, really? But then I get another notification of, you know, this guy responding to all of my fans in the comments section saying, "Oh, please DM me. I
Yeah.
love you. You're such a great fan." And
I've gotten, when we put up Lee Greenwood, we got 1 million fake Lee Greenwood accounts. Please
Yeah,
message me.
but they can't tell that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you can't tell that those are fake. You think that it's go through and delete those like right away. You shouldn't even allow it. What's the point of having verification? You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's nuts.
yeah, people are going to get hurt by it. It's a serious thing if they don't figure out AI.
Yeah.
I
are
love
getting
it though.
hurt
I
by
use it. I use it all the time. I use it.
For what? What do you use it for?
I use it a lot for. I'm part of a. The Elks Lodge. It's I don't know if you guys have that near you, but it's where the golf. It's our golf club down the road. But it's a nationwide thing, and so they have me working on their website, on their social media and stuff. So I'll use AI for the social media all the time. I'll send in they'll send me an event poster, and I'll just send it right in the AI, and I go, make me a Facebook post promoting this, and then I just make little adjustments and toss it out there, and then something that might have taken few minutes takes 30 seconds.
But as you know, it's like that's one thing that someone was usually hired to do, like a copy editor or whatever. And just like what you're doing, it's gonna take away all of our jobs, because outside of this stuff, having this whole setup here, I'm a voice actor, and truthfully, I get way less auditions sent to me than a year or two ago. Yeah. And it does suck, man, because you could just replicate. I want like a 38-year-old man who sounds maybe slightly New York or something.
Yeah.
You could just make me obsolete.
It's so crazy. Thankfully, I still hire people for doing voiceovers, which I didn't know that you did voiceovers, because I would have hired you for an advertisement we had on the radio.
Oh, anytime, man.
Yeah,
anytime.
I just went in and did it myself. And
well, you have a good voice. It makes sense.
Yeah, everybody liked it. They said I did a good job, but it was. I was like, no, I want somebody with like a really good voice. Like, I feel like yours would have been good for it. It would have been fun.
Thank you, man. No, anytime.
But
man.
now I know in the future.
Oh, hell yeah! But so we touched on the God Bless the USA, the rock version, but I definitely would love to hear the full story of how it happened. So did you just record it as a cover first, and then the idea came like, let's see if we could actually get him to hop on this?
So I'm sitting on the back porch with my wife, and we're having some wine or something, and I said, I need to figure out a song for the 4th of July. And, the covers popped off. Like, I started doing originals in the beginning, and then the covers started popping off. And as an entertainer and a musician, and you give the people what they want. And so we've been doing these covers, and I'm like, well, what's a patriotic song that we could turn into a rock song that would just be absolutely epic? And she goes, well, what about God Bless the USA? And I was like, God Bless the USA? I was like, I don't really think that would work. I said, well, let me pull it up, and I started listening to it. And then I was like, okay, that would work. And then when the chorus comes in, and I'm proud, I go, oh, it'll work. I was like, this thing's going to be so epic. And I sent it over to my producers. I go, I want to do this one. They respond within, and usually we discuss it. But they were within just a few minutes, they go, yes, we are going to do God Bless USA. And I said right away, we need to get Lee Greenwood on this thing. And so I did some digging, figured out who his manager was, and got his contact information. I added him on Facebook. And we sent him an email, and I don't think we heard anything back right away. There was quite a like, I mean, it was like months of like back and forth of like, are we going to do this? Is it not going to happen? And I was like, well, just keep pushing. And then I think they had stuff going on, and they actually said no. They declined. They were like, well, I think it might have been actually. I think it might have been Universal, where they're like, Universal doesn't want us to touch it. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna drop this cover anyway for the 4th of July. And so we make this whole video, this whole giant video. We got, a few fire departments coming out from my community, different fire departments coming out, and we hung up a huge flag and just had this huge production. And we had all of our local first responders and blue collar workers. I mean, we had welding, we had EMS, and everybody in there, and the sheriff of our county. And we make this video, we drop it for the 4th of July. And I said to my guys, I said, well, it's doing well. It was doing all right. And I go, why don't we send this to them? That way they can see the production, because the video, it looks, I mean, toot my own horn here, because, I planned everything for it, like down to the shot, every single shot. And I said, let's send it over to them, show them the quality we can do, and see if we can plan it for next year. And because we already dropped one at that point.
Sure.
So that's why if you look up God Bless USA rock version, you'll find 2 versions. Because the one with No Resolve and State of Mind, we dropped first. And so we send this email out, and they hit us back, and they were totally on board. That was it. And my producers, they were like, Drew, we're beating a dead horse here. Like, they already told us no. I'm like, just try it one more time. And so that one more time was all we needed. And they absolutely loved the song. They always did love the song. They wanted to do it. But I think that music video is what got everybody else on board. Because it's hard.
That's why it probably really says something for you, or makes you stand out, that you have these 2 things that you take very seriously, like the music videos and actually being the songwriter.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I'm like living a dream right now, dude. I get to make videos, and I get to make music. It's not like I'm doing one or the other. I get to do both. So it's super fun. I mean, the videos can get really stressful because you want to make it look good, and it's a lot of planning.
You know what? It's funny, by the way, because there's always people who will say like, "Oh, I was born in the wrong time period," and for you, it actually seems like you're born in the perfect time period for you. Because if you were born in the 80s, as we were talking about, where bands had to move somewhere and get signed to a record label, no one was allowed to shoot their own music videos in the 80s or the 90s. That's only today.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, 100%. No, I wouldn't be. I don't think anything would have happened. I think I would have been miserable. I would have been one of those bands that got signed to a label and absolutely hated their life. The fact that we could do this independently now, that's very common. As people get signed to labels, and they get everything taken away from them, and they just get sent on the road to be a road dog, essentially. Yeah. And that's not something I wanted to be. I want to be home for my family. I want to be able to do whatever I want to do, whatever I want to create, and I want to be able to do that within my world.
So if you blow up further as a solo artist,
sure,
you don't plan on being a guy who does a world tour, months out of the year?
I think that would be sweet. I think that'd be awesome. I would never say no. I would never say never to a tour. I'll tell you that. I'm not a big fan of being on a road that long. I mean, I go on a vacation for like a week, and I'm like, all right, this is done. But we have a lot of bands that we work with, so I haven't really had the time to even do any live performances, because we were doing 2 or 3 music videos a month.
I just feel like at a certain point it doesn't even become an option, because if you look at Lee Greenwood, right, he's still on the road constantly.
100%.
And I feel like when you have a name like Lee Greenwood, or all the other country artists you mentioned, or rock artists, like once you reach a certain point, you have to tour. There's very few bands at that level who just stay in the studio and don't tour many months out of the year.
No, 100%. And I absolutely, especially with a song like God Bless USA. I mean, if things went absolutely bonkers to the next level, I would go. I mean, I think it would be a blast. But is it something that I think I could do now and it makes sense? I don't think so. I think creating in the studio right now just makes sense, nonstop, and making as many songs as possible and videos as possible, making it as good as possible. But that's how you get those lightning in a bottle moments. That's how you get, you blow up. You put the time in, and then once you just get, yeah, I mean, like if something happened overnight where it was like Post Malone, where he posted White Iverson and it just blew up, like, yeah, I mean, at that point, why not? You're gonna make money doing it, and people are gonna show up, and that's the best. I mean, it can't get any better than that. And then God bless the USA. I mean, just the fact that Lee, gets to travel around and with the Trump team doing all that stuff at the rallies.
Yeah.
I mean, how crazy is that, dude?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, just doing his solo tours and everything.
Yeah.
So he's on the road quite a lot for a guy his age. I
It's
was going to ask you,
surprising.
what do you say?
I said it's surprising.
It is. Yeah.
He doesn't stop.
Yeah. No. Well, he said on the show with us that if he did stop, he would probably lose his voice, and
Yeah.
he wouldn't be singing at the level he is. He's like, I need to constantly be singing. I need
Yeah.
to constantly be performing. So,
Yep.
when you did write the rock version of God Bless the USA, what is the process of balancing how much I want to stick with the original song and be true to this amazing creation he made, and I want to add my own flavor to it without ruining the original?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because I have said that many, many times to a lot of people. We try to walk a fine line because you do not want to just desecrate an amazing song. And you can do that really easily. I could make this thing way too heavy and it's like, and it's like
Death metal,
okay.
God bless
Yeah.
the USA.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have some people that we post on there. We'll get comments and they go, well, this isn't hard enough. And then you get other people that go, this sounds amazing rock. The rock that you kind of want to play or create to the masses. And so but you have to respect that original version, which is why, on a lot of our songs, we keep fiddle, or like we have like the that same sounding piano in there. I love throwing fiddle and rock together though, man. I mean, it's epic, and it gives it that little country twang. So it's like mixing what I did in the past with the new, like the future, and it's just meeting in the middle. But yeah, it's funny you say that because you're absolutely right. I mean, you have to walk that fine line, and really, it's just a gut feeling. Like we go, is this enough? Like, do we add more? And you can always add more, but is it too much? And so we use the people around us. We use our friends. We use our family. We play it for our wives, and we go, what do you think? Like, what do you think of this version? What do you think of this version? And so it's really just a gut feeling, and we've had it wrong before. I mean, there's times where like we didn't do enough, or like the song sounded too much like the original version. But if you play the original version of God Bless USA and the rock version, they don't sound close at all. And Lee, I mean, his tone of voice, like when we were in the studio, he goes, what do you think of that tone? He's like, it's a lot more gravelly and gritty. He said, I don't normally do that. I was like, dude, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it because it sounds great. I said, you're in rock right now. So, and it seemed like he had a blast doing it. And it was, it was cool, man. Just watching him putting on a rock voice. And it's ever since that day, because I think that day he discovered some melodies that he could sing with that song that he didn't know. Because when you're singing to the original track, that's a lot more like mellow or orchestral kind of thing. And then going to like heavy guitars, like you can't help but like sing a little harder. You're like just like trying to get to the same level of where that music is at. And then I remember we're sitting there at the studio and I'm like closing my eyes and I'm like this, just trying to listen. And he does oh, and I'm proud. And I was like, that's it. I was like, save that. I was like, somebody save that, because that is going in the song. And he did one take of that, and that's what we put in the song at towards the end.
That's
the last
cool.
chorus.
How long? I know you said one take on that, but how long does he take to record in general? Is he one of those guys who really analyzes what he's singing again and again, or was it mostly one take?
It was we did a lot of takes, but the reason being is because it wasn't because of him. He sings the song all the time. It was because that was the only time we had with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like, all right, like, do you think we can get another take out of him? You know, that way we just have a lot of stuff to choose from,
Yeah.
and kind of play around with. And so, but he does you know, analyze a lot of what it is he's doing in the studio. But he's you know, he knows what he's doing. He's been doing it. Like, he gave us a lot of different ways to sing the song, and a lot of like different tones and melodies that we didn't even have to ask for. He just did it.
Were you
So,
worried he wasn't going to be able to pull it off the way that it sounds in the classic version? Because it's, you know,
no.
how many years later? We're talking like 40 years
40,
later.
40 years, man. Yeah. 40 years later. No, I had no worries about it because, I mean, he was already singing it at Trump rallies at this point, you know? I mean, so he was going around singing it, and like, he's doing tour things. I'm like, so he's not going to have a problem with it. Cause I believe we did it in the original key, which was a little high for me at the time. I had to really practice singing it. So thankfully I got it down by the time we went to Nashville, because when we tracked the music video, we're actually singing out loud, because I'm not really one to lip sync during a music video because it doesn't look as real. You can kind of tell when somebody's lip syncing, or, you know, their throat and everything and their face, like you can tell. Or sometimes, like tomorrow when we're filming this music video, it's going to be freezing cold. You're going to probably see our breath. So,
Yeah.
you know, it'll look real.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great song. It's a great music video. As you said, #1 on, you know, the chart for where it was. And you were saying to me today, he's going to possibly get a brand new award for this, other than just the #1 Billboard.
Yeah, which we had no idea. We had no idea. So obviously our goal was get the #1 song on rock, and we which, by the way, we surpassed that goal. Actually, it was way bigger and did a lot better than I think anyone expected. I mean, we knew it, we were like, this is great. Like, this is gonna do great. Like, we love this. Like, we made something good. And when it went big, you know, when it hit the #1 on the rock, his manager hits me up and he goes, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you look up and see if Lee will get a world record for being the oldest living person to receive a #1?" And I was like, I mean, I can. I mean, I was like, there's no way he's gonna be the oldest living person to receive #1. And sure enough, I looked it up. I did so much research. And he's beating it by like 10 years, man.
Who would be behind him? Like Willie Nelson or someone like that?
No, it wasn't Willie. It was, oh man, I can't remember who it was. I can't remember who it was. Somebody, they're long gone, long passed away now. But yeah,
Maybe Johnny Cash for his cover of "Hurt."
How old was he? I look up all these people, man, and like,
let me see if I can look it up out of curiosity.
Dude, don't wreck my. Well,
I hope not. I hope not. Wait, I'm gonna look it up right now. Johnny Cash "Hurt" was in 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original's 95, so his was 2003, it says.
And how old was he when he died?
Let's see. Well, how old was he in 2000? Wait, it says 2002. In 2002, American country singer Johnny Cash covered "Hurt." He was born in 32, so that would make him 70. Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so would you think he would be behind him? That it's close. I mean, because when you said like 10 years, right? So he's probably,
but
would he be the closest, or do you think there's someone older?
I think there's probably someone older, but
because he died at 71, so Lee is already, you know, over 10 years older. So yeah.
Crazy. I was looking it up, and I go, and I keep like the thing you're like how you just did. You're like, well, no, like there's so and so. Like there's.
I'm such a music nerd that it's like right away that comes to my head. I'm like, Johnny Cash "Hurt," right? Yeah.
And then you look it up.
Yeah.
And they're in their 70s. But here's the thing, man. There's not a lot of people who are doing music in their 80s.
No.
Lee Greenwood, being an 82-year-old man, got a #1 song.
Awesome.
It's amazing, and the fact that we were able to be a part of that is it still just has me over the moon. And
so is he going to get a plaque for that? It's official, or
I'm waiting on Guinness to get back to me, and I keep bugging them. And but they
And you know,
say,
I mean, that's a big award because when you think
yeah,
of Guinness, like so many people put in for like a bunch of ridiculous stuff,
oh yeah,
like biggest pillow fight, or who
yeah,
cares? Like oldest person to have a #1 song on any chart, like that's a big deal.
yeah, that's a huge deal. I mean, that's like history making right there until somebody knocks you down, and they have to not only live that long, they have to work and get a #1 song.
Yeah.
How old is Willie Nelson?
Now I got to look that up. Let's see.
Yeah,
He's got to
because
be around the same age, right?
yeah,
I
I
think
would guess.
Lee looks better, truthfully.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Willie is 91. Wow.
So if Willie,
You know what? I feel like if for Willie to do it, he'd have to do a collaboration with like
yeah,
remember a
Post
while
Malone.
back he did something with Snoop Dogg and Everlast. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. It would have to be like a Post Malone. Like he'd have to hook up with someone really
yeah.
big and it has to be the right song, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
I kind of hope it doesn't happen.
Of course not. Of
Yeah,
course. I
no.
mean, otherwise if it doesn't, you're
Yeah,
a part of history,
yeah.
man.
I kind of hope it
I
doesn't
hope we didn't
happen.
give him an idea.
No, I know. That's what I'm like. Oh shoot, what are we doing right now? Yeah, because I mean, I definitely could see a Post Malone and a Willie collaboration
Oh
happening.
yeah.
Like, no doubt, I could see it happening. I'm
Does
surprised
he
it
still
didn't
sound
happen.
good? Because I don't know.
It's fine. It's Willie Nelson. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he can kind of get away with anything at this point. I don't know. I mean, he smokes a lot of weed. I don't. I wouldn't be able to sound. I would not be able to. I don't smoke. I don't do anything like that. I would not be able to sound good if I did that.
Yeah.
But he's another living legend, man, and that would be a cool one to collab with too, Willie Nelson. So maybe we'll see.
But then you got to knock out
I mean, I
your
was gonna say I'm gonna knock down my own record.
yeah. No, let's keep that as the record.
Yeah,
Plus, it's just he's such an awesome guy, and also the thing with Lee that's pretty awesome is as you see, it's like he has a huge social media following, and just like
yeah,
with the podcast we did, he's not one of those guys who's just going to appear on something if he really likes it and just keep it to himself, and it's up to you to promote it out. Like he
yeah,
collaborated just like with you
yep,
on all of these posts we did, and it's like it brings people into the fold, and a lot of people are reluctant to do stuff like that. I think most people of that stature, if they would have collaborated on a song with you, they would say, "All right, man, and now go out and promote it." And I
yeah,
found out about it because of him. I didn't know who you were before I saw
yeah.
his posts about it.
And that was the thing. They truthfully, we've collabed with a lot of people, and just to be straight with you, they were the best. Him and his entire team, like they were the best collaboration we've ever had. Working with them, talking every single day, creating a game plan on what we're going to post. I mean, it's not like we're going, flying by the seat of our pants here. We are planning on what we're going to post, and what kind of collaborations to do on social media, like with the reels and stuff. And no, he's on it. And you're right. Like the fact that he's not one of those, all right, go get us a #1, like he's heavily involved in it. And, he's sent me, quite a few texts, just thanking me, which he doesn't have to do. I'm the one that needs to be texting him and saying thank you.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, it just kind of goes to show his character. And like I said, don't meet your heroes. Lee Greenwood's one you want to meet.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. Even though I just got to meet him virtually,
Yeah,
I could see the same thing, and hopefully I do get to meet him in person at some time.
I hope you
Um,
guys do.
yeah, I would love to. If he's ever back here in New York to do something in studio, I'm down. But so you're working on a lot of new stuff right now. The next song you have coming out in music videos, you said, God's Ground with
Yeah,
the Marine rapper and D Cure.
yeah,
So yeah, tell us about that. And actually, one thing I was curious about, it seems like you're going down the route that a lot of artists are, where it's like we're putting out one music video at a time.
yeah,
It's not as much these days about just putting out a full album because
yeah.
I think it has to do with the attention span of the public. I mean, whatever you're doing is working. So
Yeah, yeah, we definitely switched years ago. Now, when we started the label, we switched over to a single-based platform because we're like, what's the point of making spending the money and making these songs when nobody's going to hear them? So let's, it's like make the album, but just release each of those songs individually and promote each of those songs, and you promote that album a lot, like essentially through the whole year, and then you know when all those songs are out, maybe you can put them on an album and release them, which we've talked about doing as well. But yeah, it's a singles world that we're living in, and that's definitely what we're doing. But God's Ground, it's funny. I feel like Thanos going around collecting the Infinity Stones because we did God's Country, it's God Bless USA, and an original song called God's Ground. But we've had this song for a while, and it was one that we kind of felt like we needed to release. Like we had the chorus, and it was definitely a song catered toward that the Republican side, the Trump fan base, and everything like that, because that's something that we all believe in and we all stand for. And but the verses, I was like, I kind of want to get some rappers on this because I worked with Upchurch, Ryan Upchurch back in the day. He's a big country rapper, like one of the greatest. And then I did a song with Big Smo as well, who he used to have a TV show back in the day. So I was like, I haven't done a country rap thing in a while. And the Marine Rapper and DQ they're both veterans and both good buddies of mine. And it was one of those situations where you know when you have somebody and you're like, hey man, we gotta get together. Yeah, I know we gotta get together, but then it never happens. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna freaking make this thing happen. And so I reach out to Ray, who's the Marine Rapper, and then Andrew DQ, and it was like within 10 minutes we get a response back like, yeah, let's do it. And Ray, when he the Marine Rapper, when he didn't even respond and say yes, he just sent me a verse back. And that was it. Like that was it. Like I was like, hey, like, do you want to do this? Here's a song and here's where your verse would go. And he just sent me a verse back and we didn't even touch it. Like we
Wow.
made no edits, no nothing. We were like, oh, okay, well that was great.
So he
And that
sent
was,
it as like a full produced verse, not like a voice memo of him rapping.
oh, 100, yeah. No, it was on. Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna hop on the mic and send him a verse. And he did that within like 10 minutes.
Wow.
It was crazy. I'm like, dude, you just busted that out like that. And so they're actually in town right now because tomorrow we're going to be filming the music video for God's Ground. By the time this podcast comes out, we will hopefully have already filmed the whole thing. So
That's
uh,
perfect. Then we could
yeah,
link to it if whenever it's up. So
yeah, I sent over a link to
yeah.
like a Trump edit that we threw together and posted on Instagram and TikTok, but it has a little snippet of the song there. And yeah, it's definitely a song that I love. And you know, in years past, I kind of have struggled with faith in God, and that's kind of coming back into my life, and so that's why this song also means a lot to me, and kind of makes me feel like the country and everything's going in a great direction. And I wanted to write a song with God in the title because honestly, it just it felt right. I mean, I when we did God's Country, that's when my faith was pretty low, and that song went number one, and then God Bless the USA, and I was like, my most successful songs are songs that have God in it, and I'm like, that's not me. I'm like, God's blessing me right now, and that's why I tried to change, you know, uh, my perspective on things. And I've had a lot of things that happened in the years past that kind of, really hurt my faith because I was a worship leader at a church years ago. And so anybody who's been following me for a long time probably knows what I'm talking about. But I think anybody's faith would be shaken by what happened. And so
Are you
uh,
able to touch on any of it or?
I'll be quick with it.
Yeah.
I was with a girl for 4 years, and she ended up passing away. So that's just the short version of it because I don't want to get
No,
emotional
that's
on
fine.
it.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
just curious as you're saying it, but I
yeah.
understand.
No, and she was absolutely amazing. And but when that happened, my faith kind of just went. I was mad at God, and so it's taken years now to kind of recover from that and really kind of embrace him again. And that's kind of what this song, this chorus, really does for me. So, yeah, sorry, not to get all sappy on
No,
you,
no,
but
no, no.
yeah, so
It's
it's cool.
important, man. And I mean, really hard times. That's
Yeah,
like what inspires the best art that we have.
yeah. So kind of just, I mean, I know this song is definitely catered towards the Trump crowd, but it is definitely it's a testament to where this country is going to go, and we're putting God in the front of it. So.
Do you worry about that in terms of like the Trump stuff of like pigeonholing yourself or alienating part of the audience? Because of course, at the end of the day, you got like half of the American public that hates Trump,
Yeah.
half the American public who loves Trump. And,
Yeah.
I even just think of artists like someone like Ted Nugent, right? You pretty much have to be a conservative to be a Ted Nugent fan at this point.
Yeah.
And people don't know that like in the 70s, the guy was playing arenas and he was as big as Aerosmith. But,
Yeah.
he definitely did alienate part of his fan base being as
Yeah.
outspoken as he is. So do you worry about that? Because you have other songs like, to me, God Bless the USA.
Yeah.
Anyone could listen to that song and
Right.
love it. So I was just wondering, is that a concern to you?
Yeah, it was definitely something we talked about as a team. It is most certainly something we talked about because I've always been non-political in my career, and that was intentional, because you didn't want to alienate anybody. But I had a long sit down and we talked about it, and it basically was like you can't please everybody, and and I was like, we're at the point now where we can, freedom of speech, you can say whatever you want. Like, let's just do this thing, and whatever happens because we have a good feeling about this, and this is what our gut's telling us to do. I mean, the amount of times, we say just stick to your gut. What is your gut telling you? And when somebody says yes, we respect that. And when somebody says no, we respect that. And, maybe we missed out on opportunities because somebody said no. But honestly, when I started posting, when I made my first, political post kind of telling people where I was at, I was afraid that I was going to get a lot more hate. So it really didn't hurt when I got very little hate. A lot of people were actually on the same side. So, but I mean, we got the people where they're like, I can't believe this. I'm never listening to you again. And I'm like, I don't really think that, but those aren't the people you want. Like, I listen to people that aren't Trump fans.
Yeah.
I'm friends with people. I mean, I have family who aren't Trump fans. We still love each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's just walking that line. It's weird. I'm definitely one of those people who, if I love your art, I'm not going to let your politics sway that. But there's other people like to the extreme who have done things that I go, like I just said, my love of 80s rock, man. I'm a huge fan of Sebastian Bach and Skid Row. I don't know if you've seen the post that Sebastian Bach has put up recently, but he's always been extremely left-wing, anti-Trump, which is one thing. But then the day after the election, he straight up tweeted, "Fuck America." And it's like, can I still support someone who would write something that irresponsible? And truthfully, I probably will, because that's me. Yeah. But on some level, it's like, man, that's a fuck you to our military. That's a fuck you to all the guys who have died for the flag. And I don't know how you do that. And it's like, and there is a big difference between saying, hey, I support President Trump, and saying something like completely incendiary that half the country is going to hate you for. Yeah. That's probably a little different. That would probably turn me off quite a bit, where it's like, that sucks, man. Like, I really I wouldn't fault anyone who would say, hey, I love Skid Row and Sebastian Bach, and I'll never support them again. I couldn't put you at fault for saying that, because if you tweet something like that, be prepared for a lot of people to no longer want to be a part of what you're doing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I think No Resolve went on tour with Skid Row. Well, he's no longer in Skid Row and hasn't been for many years. So it's, okay. I'm sure those guys probably don't like him saying that either. Yeah. I didn't know who Skid Row. I'm terrible. But you can tell that I grew up listening to country, and that was pretty much just about it. I guarantee you, if you heard because 18 in Life is one of those songs you've probably heard like in the grocery store. It's that big, or I Remember You. Yeah. I remember you. Yeah, I ring a bell. Yeah, I don't remember it. I don't know it, because like they told me, like, he calls me, lead singer Oscar, he calls me up. He's like, we're going on tour with Skid Row, and I was like, cool, dude. I was like, who's that? So, I guarantee you there's two songs if you put on
Yeah.
18 in Life or I Remember You, I feel like you'll go, I remember
18,
this.
18 in Life sounds familiar. That just the title alone sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's a
And
big one. It was.
yeah. Did I tell you that we worked with Hinder as well?
No, I mean that's a big name.
Yeah, we worked. We were doing a music video. I was producing a music video for No Resolve, and they did a song with Hinder. They did Unstoppable, the song Unstoppable. I'm unstoppable.
Yeah, that's a
And
huge song.
yeah, so that's what you said talking about Skid Row and No Resolve. I just thought about that too. And yeah, those guys are great too, man. I would love to do a collaboration with them in 2025. Well, it is
Yeah.
2025, I guess.
Exactly.
year.
You're the first episode of the year, man.
Yeah. Yes.
Which yeah, I'm sorry Chris couldn't be here for it, but we'll do another one at some
Yeah.
point.
Definitely happy to hop on anytime.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, man, I mean, there are so many artists too who have been outspoken politically and actually, Ted Nugent was an example I said of someone who's probably lost some people, but I think, like Rich from Big and Rich, I think his career has expanded and his fan base has.
Yeah.
And of course, Aaron Lewis from Stained. I mean, he's as politically outspoken as it gets.
Yeah. And it's only helped.
Yeah, and you know what? I think from those guys especially, because I do know Aaron, like not well, but I've hung out with him before, like back when I worked at Sirius, and like those are his true beliefs. That's not a gimmick to sell albums or to appeal to a certain audience. Because I'm sure there are the people out there where it's like a gimmicky thing of, hey, I want the Trump. There's a few names I could probably mention that I feel like it's just this we could easily sell to this audience, and it's it's a marketing ploy. And I think if it comes from a genuine place of this is how I feel, then put it out there.
I agree, and if you kind of think about it too, people want to know an artist, they want to know who they are, they want to feel like they can connect with you, and like you're their friend, essentially. And if you're not telling them where you stand, does that make you less truthful? You know what I mean? So it's almost, and maybe that's what people are afraid of, and maybe that's what I was afraid of too, is actually going out there and telling them. It's like when I don't know, like if you do something and you don't want to like tell your friend or your mom or somebody like that who you care about, because you care about these people, you don't want to lose these people, and nobody likes anybody mad at them. Nobody. And I think it's pretty. I think everybody, maybe not everybody, but I think it's good for a lot of people to just take the jump and be truthful and don't be afraid of what you believe in, because we need to have conversation as Americans. We have freedom of speech. We need to be able to have respectful conversations on what we can do to make America great again, and didn't mean to just drop a MAGA thing there, but, I've had many conversations with my friends who are on the left, and nobody gets heated by it. It's not nobody needs to have a heated conversation. When that happens, it goes, all right, well, we're going to be done here. Let's get back to the football game.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you just have to think about how everyone is going to see it, because an example I could think of is the people on the other side who are doing the same thing. I know that if you go out and see Pearl Jam, you're going to see Eddie Vedder on stage say a bunch of stuff about how he hates Trump. And you do have to think about, all right, if you're a Pearl Jam fan and you're at that show, there definitely is a huge segment of guys who are going to be at that show and be like, you kind of just ruined my experience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and when it comes to and that's the thing too, right? Like when it comes to a live show, do you bring politics into that? Like, you're doing music, man. You're not a politician, So it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it depends though, because it's the same thing as like the freedom of speech thing. I'm pretty sure if you see Aaron Lewis on a certain night, he's going to say "fuck Dr. Fauci" on stage, and some people are going to love it, and some people are not.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's just what it is. Yeah, you're not always going to like everything. You're not always going to like what somebody says, and sometimes you're going to love what somebody says. And you can't control what somebody says, but you can control how you respond to what they say and how you feel about it. You may not like it, but whatever they said, it doesn't need to bother you, and you can let it go. You can't control everybody in the world,
Yeah, I mean, and then there's going to be people who appreciate you expressing your free speech on stage and saying what you want, and then there's going to be other people on both sides politically who will say, shut up and just go out there and sing. I don't give a fuck about your politics. There's always going to be those people on both sides.
Yeah. 100%. Well, I do have to go make dinner.
Okay, all good, man.
If that's okay,
you know what?
dude.
Truthfully, I didn't think we were even going to go this long, but it's just a good conversation.
No,
It
and
is.
I could honestly, I could talk all night. So that's just kind of who I am. So who knows? Maybe one day I do an in studio thing with you guys. You know what I mean? But yeah, I got steak out there, and I.
Oh yeah, do your thing, man. We could hopefully do a part 2 at some time with Chris. Probably when the new music video is out or something like that. So I will say to the audience, go check out at Drew Jacobs Music on Instagram and on X. The next song, once again, is God's Ground. God Bless the USA rock version is available everywhere. Once again, if you want to check out that last episode with Lee Greenwood that we did, that's 267. And anything else you're promoting before I let you go, man?
No, man. I mean, honestly, it's all the focus is on God Bless USA and God's Ground. I got 2 things, starting with God, and I'm feeling good. 2025 or 2024 ended with God. 2025 starting with God. So we're looking pretty good, and I'm hoping that this song can resonate with a lot of people, and I hope they just enjoy listening to it. And I really appreciate you having me on, man. Seriously, it's been great time, great conversation. Unfortunately, I do have husband duties.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I could easily go another hour and 15 minutes.
Me
But
too.
we will. We'll do something again. So appreciate it, guys. As always, subscribe, check out Drew's stuff. And we'll have more new episodes every Tuesday of Battle Line Podcast.
That's all for this episode of Battle Line Podcast. But we're always posting new content on social media. Follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. That's an order. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes up every Tuesday. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. Believe in yourself. Face all challenges head on. And as always, never quit.